Okay, so in this video I'm going to be asking, doing some audience research into storylines of thriller films and revealing to the audience what my storyline is going to be based on. From this I hope to get some feedback on what my audience think of my storyline as it is so far, and to make sure that they think it's understandable, they think it's a developed storyline, and to make sure that they are interested in the storyline and want to come see the film. So, my storyline consists of a man who is a private investigator. He beats up people basically for money. It's not a licensed job, it's just a little way for him to earn cash and survive. And he gets quite a lot of money from this. However, he gains many enemies from this line of work, as you could have guessed, and he fakes his own death to protect his wife and child. Now, he does not tell his wife and child that he's faked his own death, and his whole family think that he is actually dead. However, his wife and child perish, and he's aware of this, and he is very upset. He just sulks about it. He's a heavily smoker, he drinks, he doesn't deal with it very well. Until one day, the only bit of family he has left, his niece, stopped visiting his grave, and also he watches his grave. She stops visiting his grave, so he knows something's up. So he goes to her house. She's relieved and joy and scared at the same time to see that he's still alive. And he wants to try and find the man that's tormenting her, because he knows something's wrong. She's a little bit hesitant, and she doesn't really know where he is. He then goes to fight this guy, and he finds out along the way that more and more people, all of his old enemies, seem to be coming back. He then has to take out all his enemies to make sure that his niece is 100% safe, and that until she is grown up enough to protect herself and has her own family and her own husband to protect her, then in that case he would wish to pass on into the afterlife and join his wife and family in heaven where they are, or so he believes. So that is the basic storyline, the plot synopsis of my storyline. I will now go and ask this to my audience, and just to get some audience research and feedback and what they think the storyline sounds like, and if they think it sounds like a good storyline, or if not, and any things they really like about it and any improvements that need to be made. Okay, so Sam, what do you expect to see in a typical thriller film storyline?
In a typical thriller film, I expect to see a lot going on, as I feel that adds to the whole thrill of it. I also feel that a thriller is more of an action-based film than a horror is. I also feel that thrillers have more of a developed storyline to it, whereas other films don't.
So do you like are you saying the fact that thriller films have their storylines seem to be more in depth than, say, some other genres such as horror or action?
Yeah, I feel like you could really they proper develop it, and you go into it more, like you said, like a horror film where it's more kind of glossed over, I feel. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Sam, so what do you personally like about thriller films? What interests you to go and see thriller films in the cinema?
For me, I think it's the suspense of not knowing what's going to happen and what is the next step for each of the characters. For example, one of my favourite ones is Gone Girl, and I really enjoy how you don't actually know if the husband's innocent or not, and she does disappear, and it's the whole idea of what's the next move, how is it all planned out, and I really think that that's proper thought about the development of the film, so that really keeps me interested and wanting to carry on watching it through.
That relates back to what you said previously about how thriller films have a developed storyline. So the developed storylines of thriller films is what interests you most.
Yeah, I definitely feel that the development is a big part of a thriller film.
Okay, Sam, so now I'm going to tell you about my thriller film storyline for my thriller film trailer, and you give me your honest opinion on what you think of it and if it meets the conventions of a thriller film. So, my storyline follows a man who has his line of work as a private investigator. This line of work is very tiresome, however, and obviously he gains a lot of enemies, so he tries to fake his own death to protect his wife and child, which unfortunately doesn't work, and they perish by these enemies he has created.
Yeah.
His only part of family now is his niece, and he vows to protect her, though she does not know he's alive. So, the niece is now in trouble, and he knows this by he watches him visiting his grave. She stops coming, so he knows something's wrong. He then goes out and has to find the people, after reuniting with his niece, He has to find the people that have killed his wife and child, and who are now after his niece. This leads to a lot of enemies, a lot of battles, so it has a lot of action in it with fight scenes. Also have very serious moments and storyline plot pieces of him figuring out what happened to his wife and child in death and how he can protect his niece. And then eventually his ultimate goal is to make sure his niece is 100% safe so that he can join his wife and child in heaven, as he so say. So, what do you think of this storyline in your honest opinion, and do you think it meets the conventions of a thriller film?
I think it does go with the idea of a thriller film. I really think it's quite, like you said, action-packed, which personally I kind of like as well. And it seems to be very developed, and it kind of keeps you guessing, like the way you've just told me from the little bit you've given. I really think that I kind of want to know more already, whereas all I've literally heard is just what you've described me.
The plot synopsis.
Yeah, so I really feel quite drawn into it already. So I think the plot and the outline of it is a real good one. I think it'll make the audience think a lot as well, maybe, where they're having to plan, he's planning how to look after his niece and find out why and how his other family have been killed from his enemies. So I really think it's quite a strong thriller film to go for, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Neve, what do you expect to see in a typical thriller film storyline / plot?
I expect to see an antagonist and a protagonist, generally battling against each other, one trying to win over the other. A lot of thriller films will have gore in them to make the audience cringe, and they usually have music that causes suspense and will make the audience on edge on their seats.
Okay, so what do you personally like about thriller films? What entices you to go and see them at the cinema?
I really like gory ones, so ones that make me cringe personally, and ones that I don't want to see, but they're so intriguing and interesting with the way that the music causes suspense. I want to go see them.
Okay, Neve, so now you've heard my thriller film storyline trailer idea / plotline. What are your personal opinions on the trailer, and do you think it fits the thriller film conventions?
I do really like the idea. I think it's a good plot. The idea that there's murders in it and it's quite mysterious with the antagonist and protagonist. I really like that idea. And the idea that there's a fake death, that's really intriguing.
So, do you think it fits the thriller film conventions of a normal thriller film?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so Will, what do you expect to see in a typical thriller film storyline? What do you expect to see from the plot line of the thriller film?
Well, I'd expect to see a lot of suspense and a lot of action during the film. That's the whole point of thriller films, to make you scared, and psychological thrillers like Misery. And yeah, it kind of helps with suspense. And especially in that film where she's like a nurse and she's taking him in, and like he has no whereabouts of where he is and stuff like that. So that adds to the suspense of the people watching. And obviously action is usually quite gory and quite graphic, but it's not too bad because they want to have a wide range of people watching it. So yeah.
So what do you personally like about thriller film storylines? What appeals to you to make you want to go and see a thriller film at the cinema?
Well, obviously the whole scare factor of it, and the suspense, because that's the main thing in thriller films that you don't often get in any other films. Like action films are kind of just by the book and quite boring with suspense because it's kind of predictable in the plot line. Whereas thriller films, the plot line's quite unique and diverse. So in Misery, Paul Sheldon doesn't really know what Annie Wilkes is going to do, or who she is. She could be psycho killer, which she is, but he finds out the hard way. So yeah, suspense really draw me into the cinema and the scare.
Okay, well, so now you've heard my storyline. What are your personal opinions on the storyline, and do you think it meets the conventions of a typical thriller film?
Yeah, I think it sounds really good actually, especially with the whole character building system of it. This John, the main character, sounds like a pretty unlikable guy who doesn't really care much about himself but cares about others, and that's what you're trying to clearly convey in the story. With the protection of his family, I think is like a real good incentive in the film, and protecting them from his enemies because of his private investigation work. So yeah, I think it's a good idea to like protect families, because people be like, oh, I hope they get out all right and hope everyone's okay. And the last part about the only family he's got left is his niece, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good part about it, because that's like one thing that he cares about, and he can like focus on those goals. And yeah, hopefully the enemies will not succeed, because obviously you always want the main character and the good character to prevail. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Will. Okay, so Ben, what do you expect to see in a typical thriller film storyline / plot of a thriller film?
Well, I'd expect the protagonist to be shown probably at the start, and slowly throughout the film there is a, should I say, about like a hunt for the antagonist, and at the end obviously there's a climax and something's going to happen. In thriller films, typically it could go either way, because they're built to be intense and emotionally quite
Hard hitting, I suppose.
Yeah.
So you think there should be like a development of the main character searching for the antagonist throughout the film? That should be the storyline basis.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you watch a thriller film, what draws you to watch a thriller film from the storyline? What makes you want to go and see a thriller film at the cinema?
Well, I feel like some thriller films are based on true stories, and obviously they hit home the hardest because obviously they're true. And but I find that thriller films, the music definitely I find is the biggest part to play in building intensity and emotion in the scene. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Ben, now you've heard about my thriller film storyline and what I intend to do, what are your personal opinions on the trailer, and does it excite you to see the film?
Definitely. I would definitely want to see this film. I know for a fact from watching the trailer that he has done his research. He knows what is needed for the trailer to get people into the cinema. The trailer itself is very intense, the music also, and I think it will go well. I think this is going to be a very good film.
Okay. So, what do you personally like about thriller film storylines? What entices you to want to watch a thriller film at the cinema or on your home TV?
Well, it's like you like to watch the storyline and then to see how it pans out, but mostly the jumps and turns throughout the film.
That keep you interested in watching?
Yeah.
Okay, so Joanne, what do you expect to see in a typical thriller film storyline / plot of a thriller film?
Well, lots of chases and action, like probably a male as like the lead. Suspense, like you don't know what's going to happen next. Lots of like jumpy bits and keeping you on edge.
Okay, so now you have heard my thriller film storyline. What is your personal opinion on the storyline / plot of my thriller film trailer, and do you think it meets the conventions of a thriller film?
Yes. I think it's got all the jumps and turns. It's got a good story base. The sort of film that people would like to go and watch. Everyone likes a bit of a twist to their film. I think it's good like that he's like faked his own death to protect his family. And obviously, you know, he's going to now protect his niece. So that's going to be like another storyline all on its own.
Okay. Okay, so Mason, what do you expect to see in a typical thriller film storyline / plot of a thriller film?
Yeah, a lot of drama happening, so lots of suspense, typically. Definitely, mainly violence, that sort of idea.
So, a bit more personal to you, what do you personally like about thriller films, and what makes you want to go and see a thriller film at home or at the cinema?
Anything with violence, anything that's gory, lots of fight scenes, and yeah, mostly pain. That's what I would go and see it for.
Okay, so after hearing my plotline for my thriller film trailer, what are your personal opinions on the plotline, and do you think it meets the conventions of a thriller film?
Yeah, I do think it meets the conventions of a thriller film. There's plenty of plot twists, lots of fight scenes, kind of what I'd expect. Pretty much a normal storyline that I'd expect to see in a thriller film.